This is Charlie Parsons, Boxing Social. We're here in Abu Dhabi, living the dream. Just done a little bit with Campbell. You guys sat by the pool. Chantel's team sat by the pool. Myself sat by the pool, trying to rake it all in. It doesn't feel like a sort of conventional fight week, but we're here nevertheless ahead of a really, really big card Saturday night. Dimitri Bivol looks to defend his WBA light heavyweight crown against a really, really tough, unbeaten Mexican in Gilberto Ramirez. Just your first thoughts on the fight? A real cracker.
Yeah, it's a fantastic bill. I got into boxing because I was a boxing fan, and I still am today. So, you've got a fantastic top of the bill, and some of the the bouts underneath are great fights too. Obviously a big night for Zelfa, fighting for a world title. Hopefully, can bring that back to Manchester and become Manchester's next world champion. But from a fan's point of view, it's a great card, isn't it?
Obviously, Campbell out again, we've just spoke. Obviously, you must be really delighted with him. Sort of after that Tottenham Hotspur fight, as we just spoke, sort of ironed loads of things out yourself mentally and sort of physically, and sort of not getting complacent and doing stuff. You must be really happy with how the last sort of 12 months have gone.
I am. He's making progress, gradual progress. But Campbell's capable of so much more. I'm happy with him. You never get a shortage of hard work and commitment from Campbell. Campbell's got a big heart, but that will show in later fights. I'm trying to get Campbell to slow down, show his skills, show his boxing, and just take his time a little bit more. He was fantastic in the early stages of his last fight, and again got a little bit carried away. And I've spoken to him a lot this week about, you can't make the same mistakes again and again. So Campbell's got a big heart. He wants it so much. He's trying too hard. So you can't really bollock anyone for trying too hard. But he's got to slow down and apply himself a little bit better. So I'm pleased with Campbell's progress, but he is capable of a lot more.
Saturday night, obviously, he was just telling me he's got quite a come-forward opponent, and probably not someone that, if you're going to try and box a little bit, is the ideal opponent. But then again, if he can show the boxing like you guys are on about and working on, and sort of not getting too complacent, too carried away, it probably will be the perfect person to look really good against.
Absolutely, that's the plan. He comes forward, he's aggressive, he likes a fight, and Campbell does like that kind of opponent, really. So he's the perfect dance partner for Campbell to show his skills on Saturday, and I'm drilling him this week. He's just got to take his time, apply himself properly, and I'm sure you'll see a really impressive performance from Campbell on Saturday.
Let me touch on a former foe of yourself, Canelo. Obviously, we see that he's having a bit of time out of the ring. Someone like him who just seems to fight every couple of months, I don't think we can complain too much. Obviously, Dimitri Bivol, who beat him last time out in Las Vegas, fights this weekend. But Canelo, we're not really too sure what the next step is for him. I think now it's looking like Cinco de Mayo next year, which is understandable, of course. But do you think sort of he needs to go straight back into that Bivol fight, or the winner of this fight? I know he said he doesn't really want to fight Mexicans, but that shouldn't really stop anything in terms of career and legacy, should it?
Absolutely not. I think Canelo, a break from the sport, for a period of time will do him good. Because for me, Canelo's like a celebrity now. You can just imagine the engagements and the commitments that he's got to do. Has that hunger started to wane? Possibly, probably. So hopefully a bit of time away from the sport will reignite that passion and that hunger. And I think it will. I think he'll come back really strongly, and he's certainly not lacking options, is he? I think we will see. He's that sort of character to want to avenge the defeat to Bivol. So whether it's the next fight or not too sure. But there's no shortage of options. But I'm sure we'll see him fight Bivol again.
Obviously, we saw him make that move up to 175 in the Kovalev fight, but we know that was a sort of aged Kovalev that wasn't what he once was. Whereas when you're going into that Bivol fight, he still went in as a massive favourite, and Bivol did produce that career best performance, but perhaps a much tougher test than Kovalev faced. A fresher, sort of smaller light heavy as such, someone that could stay active for the whole time, not worry about tiring. Just wasn't to be his night on the night.
Just wasn't to be his night, and again, hunger's such a huge part of boxing. One of the biggest things you need, and for me, the Canelo's hunger was just starting to wane. I think, if they fought again, Canelo at his very, very best, up for it, hungry, I would still back him to beat Bivol in a return. But, you know, Bivol's such a good all-round fighter, and he must be a very difficult man to face and to beat. You know, he's unbeaten so far, and it's going to take a very, very good fighter to beat him.
As I said with Campbell just now, let's move on to the heavyweights. Obviously, we see Tyson Fury now fights and defends in a mandatory against Fury-Chisora, one that sort of has had bad backlash from the British public. Frank Warren went through the list, and you know, look, they want to get him out December 3rd. There are arguments to understand it. True Geordie did his little clip, and there was that bit that went on social media. I don't know if you've seen it. It seems like everyone's sort of seen it with Tyson's reaction. You know, asking some quite hard-hitting questions, but I think questions that I think a lot of the boxing public thought were quite fair, to be honest. What did you sort of make of Tyson's reaction to it all?
Yeah, I mean, it's like you say, touching on what Frank Warren said. You go down the list and who isn't available. He's got a valid point, really. You know, you're going down the heavyweights, and I'm sure, like I say, Tyson wanted to fight this year. There wasn't that many options for him to face. I think I'm like most boxing people and most boxing fans in the heavyweight division now. You know, you've got your absolute elite, haven't you? You've got your Tyson, Fury, AJ, of course, Usyk, Wilder. Are we really interested in seeing any of them guys fight the fringe guys? Not really. We want to see them guys fighting each other, but that's easier said than done, isn't it? So I think apart from the top boys, what I touched on there, I think anyone who you put AJ, Fury, Usyk in with, you know, unless they're fighting each other, we're going to be disappointed, aren't we, unfortunately?
He always spoke about giving Chisora that trilogy fight, but sort of I think another thing is people just want to see a new name on his resume. Can you understand that?
Yeah, I mean, of the people that's left to fight, you know, a lot of them were out of the equation. Probably Chisora is one of the better options. You know what you're going to get with Derek. You know, he's a real warrior, and he always comes to give it 110%. We have seen it twice already. So yeah, again, I know I'm repeating myself. The only heavyweight fights I'm interested in, I want to see them top boys in with each other. Now I'm not too interested in them seeing fight anyone else really.
Let's touch on AJ. You did mention him just now, obviously still in that elite level, coming off the 2 defeats with Alexander Usyk, but no shame in that, and what is a pound for pound great, and someone that will probably go down as an all-time great. Obviously the 2 defeats itself definitely looked better the second time out. There were changes that needed to be made. For him, it looked like they were going to try and get him out towards the end of the year, and I know that they're very adamant and sort of eager for consistency now with Anthony Joshua not being out of the ring for too long. I think the time between the rematches was about a year. Comes to a point with AJ where he just needs to get out. He needs to sort of go back to those old ways where he could have fights every couple of months and sort of maybe get his confidence and bowl people over. Like I said, is there any shame in maybe taking an easier touch for the next couple of fights and getting that confidence back?
Well, it's difficult, isn't it? Because he's such a huge star, AJ. Every fight he's involved in it is an event, and you want him in there with a tough opponent, don't we? But purely from a boxing point of view, it's been done over the years, time and time again. Fighters coming off defeat. You know, I'm not going to say easy touches, but fights they go into a favourite to win. So purely from a boxing point of view, yeah, I think there's some good options out there for it. You know, the one people are talking about, Dillian Whyte, I'm sure would still generate a lot of interest, and it's a fight that I'd heavily fancy AJ. So if it was me, that'd be the route I take, and I think a fight against someone like Dillian Whyte next would be perfect, and set him back up, and hopefully we see him in there with those big names again towards the back end of next year.
Finally, from me, myself, I'm getting a bit sort of tired of always having to bring up Conor Benn and ask, but, you know, it's something that the British public are still sort of demanded to hear, not even answers necessarily, but people and respected figures in the sport discuss. Obviously, it came out last week that it wasn't just the one failed VADA test, it was the 2. You know, we've got legal proceedings that are going on behind closed doors, but probably doesn't look great in favour of Conor at the minute right now. Obviously, I imagine you guys would have all been shocked to see the news on what was such a big bill at the O2, a massive pay-per-view. Seeing now that it's not just the 1 test, it's 2 that's been failed, are you quite sort of disappointed, I suppose?
Very disappointed because, you know, I'm not, you know, Benn was one of my favourite fighters. He really was such a good fighter, such an exciting fighter, and from a personal point of view, he was great with Campbell. You know, he's been, you know, Campbell's done some training with him. He's offered Campbell, a lot of words of advice. And when I found the news out, I was really disappointed. You know, it's going to be so interesting now to see how it plays out over the next few weeks. So we'll have to wait and see. But as you said, at the minute, it isn't looking good. And to say I'm disappointed is an understatement, really, because I was such a big fan.
Well, Matt, thank you very much for speaking to me at Boxing Social. Touch shoulders throughout the week, no doubt. Can't believe it's only Wednesday. Still got the whole fight week to go, really. We haven't even had the workouts. But yeah, top man, thank you for your time, and look forward to seeing Saturday night what you and the team have been putting into action.
Nice one.